Okay, check. Hello, Professor. We can start our agenda today. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
Okay, thank you for your response. Keep spirit until the end session. Okay. Alhamdulillahilladzi hadana lihada wa ma kunna linahtadiya laula an hadana Allah. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluh. Amma ba'du. To be honored, the Dean of the Faculty of Science, Technology and Education, Mr. Eko Handoyo, the Vice Dean of the Faculty of Science, Technology and Education, Ms. Uswatun Hasana, and the Head of the International Affairs, Ms. Nur Hudayati, who connect us to our speaker today and fully support our agenda. Thank you very much. To be honored, Associate Professor DS Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi from Management and Science University, Malaysia, who will be our speaker today. Thank you for joining us. To be honored, the head of the study program and the faculty members in the Faculty of Science, Technology and Education. And don't forget, our beloved student here who has already come and joined us today. Thank you very much for your coming. First of all, let us thank to our who give his blessing and mercy so we can attend in our agenda today without any obstacle and in the good condition. Secondly, salawat and salam always we pour to our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Okay. Who get us from the darkness to the cleanness, namely Islam. Okay, everyone, welcome to our agenda today in the guest lecture in 2025. The theme of today's agenda is addressing climate change and how strategic mitigation evolve for a sustainable future. My name is Rohmat. I'm honored to be your MC and moderator here. Thank you very much. This guest lecture is part of our shared commitment to understanding and tackling one of crucial things today, that is climate change. Do you know climate change? Hello, everyone. Oh, okay. Climate change is crucial thing today that is intersect with technology, education, and also human survival. So the goal of our agenda today is to inspire all of us, as students, as future professionals, to contribute, give meaningful solution. Okay? It's like our theme today. Before we begin our agenda today, let me share the flow to this program. The first one is opening remarks by reciting Holy Quran. The second one is singing the national song of Indonesia Raya and Mars Muhammadiyah. The third one is welcoming speech. The fourth one is introduction to the keynote speaker. The fifth one is my lecture. And the sixth one is Q&A session. And the seventh one is the last one is closing remark. Okay, let's all officially start our agenda today by reciting Holy Quran. That is read by Gulam Mulham. He is the student from biology program. For Gulam Mulham, please, the time is yours. Come on.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
A'udzu billahi minas syaitonir rajim. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق سبع سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فطور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيح وجعلناها رجوما للشياطين وأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نأكل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير صدق الله العظيم السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
Okay, thank you very much for reciting Holy Quran. We hope everyone here is getting blessing from reciting it. Okay, to the next agenda. Let's continue to sing the national song of Indonesia Raya and Mars Muhammadiyah that is led by Fatiha Faradia. She is the student from computer engineering. For Fatiha Faradia, please, the time is yours. Hello, everyone. Stand up, please. Everyone, please sit down. Thank you very much for Fatihah Faradia. Okay, to the next agenda. Let's continue to our welcoming speech that delivered by the Dean of the Faculty of Science, Technology and Education, Mr. Eko Handoyo. Are you ready, Mr.?
Ready?
Hello? Oh, okay. Okay, Mr. Handoyo, please, the time is yours.
Yeah. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good morning, Professor guests, speakers, Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Hamari, who have just joined. Alhamdulillah, Alhamdulillahilladzi arsala rasulahu bil huda wa dinil haq liyudhhirahu ala dini kulli wa kafa billahi syahida. Asyhadu an la ilaha illallah wa asyhadu anna Muhammadan abduhu wa rasuluhu la nabiyya wa rasuluhu ba'da. Teman-teman, faculty member and academic staff, student and all participant and proud. First and foremost, let's the guests graduate to Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala, the Almighty for His peace, grace, offer us today for remaining the event. The guest lecture with the time of releasing to make strategic mitigation for the future. This theme is very relevant to the change of politicity. Surveillance chain of a lower just different issue is become a global current impact of every aspect of human life and economy, health, education, and even social stability. As academic and Christian, we bear a significant responsibility to provide limit and medication, search on innovation, qualified development, and communication education. This event in the first film use brother of horse developed deep in effective medication strategy and integrated multi-defining approach and body status feature. It also helped the student of will impression and for you event speakers. We have delivering for event and the motivation to innovate and table contribution. Awards in Evelyn the Great is implementation organized commitment for her work in the world speaker, getting in infrastructure in knowledge and experience. Being everybody, and thank you. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you, Mr. Ego, for your great speech. We hope its welcoming speech will be beneficial for us in the future. Okay, guys. For the next agenda is the main agenda today in the guest lecture. I will firstly start to introduce our special guest speaker today. We are especially delighted to have our honored speaker, Associate Professor T.S. Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi, with us today. He will share his knowledge, his thought, his expertise in this subject. Hello, Doctor.
Yes, Mr. Rahmat.
Oh, thank you very much for your response.
All right.
How do you do?
I'm doing well, alhamdulillah. How is everything over there? Hope all of you doing well.
Okay, it's a pleasure to meet you. Actually, this is your first time, right? To join with us?
Oh, no, this is my second time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, before you deliver your presentation, I will give you information about our enthusiastic participant today. The amount of students are 250 students. Yes, it's too many students in this room.
Alhamdulillah, that's great.
Biology program, physics program, elementary school teacher education program, industrial engineering program, and computer engineering program. Oh, sorry, medical informatics program also join with us today. Hello guys, everyone, please. When Dr. Safa give his presentation, please keep your phone in the mute condition, in the silent mode. And the second, please pay attention. And when Professor Dr. Safa deliver his presentation, and if you have question, there is the time in Q&A session. Okay, without waiting the time, I would like to introduce our keynote speaker today, Associate Professor T.S. Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi. He is a researcher and academician with extensive experience in researching and implementing strategies to address climate change. His work has made significant contribution to research and knowledge. He has professional experience as an engineer, researcher, senior engineer, assistant lecturer, teacher assistant, and postdoctoral fellow. And now he is a research coordinator, program coordinator, and also associate professor at Faculty of Information Science and Engineering in Management and Science University of Malaysia. For his education, his bachelor degree was from Bachelor of Science in Material Engineering at University Babylonia. His master degree was Master of Technology at University of Hyderabad. His doctoral degree was Doctor of Philosophy at University Technology Malaysia, and also his postdoctoral fellow at University Technology Malaysia. So many computer skill and software knowledge that he mastered that I cannot mention now because of the time. Also his work, his professional affiliation, and he has many research publications that relate to his expertise in reputed journal. Please join us and giving him a warm welcome. Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi, the time is yours. Okay, you have an hour to deliver the presentation. Thank you, Prof.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciated, Mr. Rahmat, for your sharing and very wonderful introductory part. Okay, it is our great pleasure today to be here. Indeed. Is there any opportunity we can cut down the echo? I can hear a very high echo from your end. Okay, I think right now it's okay. All right, fantastic. Okay, all right, then. Yeah, right now it's okay. Can you hear me well, right? Yes, okay, all right. So then, assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, and very good morning, ladies and gentlemen. So it is my great pleasure to be today here. Let me start with a very important part before we start. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Thank you so much, University Muhammadiyah, for inviting me to deliver the guest lecturer's speech today. And it is my honor for the second time, basically, to deliver my guest lecturer to Muhammadiyah University. I'm very inspired by whatever knowledge being shared, whatever information that has been given from the international coordinator, Miss Hidayati, last time when we have been met each other. So it is very great pleasure again to meet you, all of you here, and I'm very inspired also to hear most of my participants are coming from a diversity field of medical to physics to biology to engineering. So I'm very I can say very keen to deliver whatever informations that I want to share with all of you here. Okay, so before we start, let me share my slide presentations to give you the full view on what we are going to talk about today. Okay. Just to confirm, can you see my slide presentation from your ends, Mr. Rahman?
Yes, we already see.
Okay, Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Okay, so all right, so then I'm going to talk as being explained by Mr. MC, right, by the moderator for today, the moderator for today's sessions, Mr. Rahmat, that I'm going to talk about addressing the climate change and expectations that will be focusing for a sustainable future, basically. Okay. So as been introduced just now by the moderator, Mr. Rahmat, about my field and expertise, basically, I don't want to repeat it again. So currently, my name basically is Safwan Najah Saud Al-Humairi, and I am associate professor and technology specialist. And at the same time, I'm serving as a Deputy Dean for Research, Internationalization, and Industry at the Faculty of Information Sciences and Engineering Management and Science University. Just to double confirm, Mr. Rahmat, can you hear me well? Because I'm using...
Yes, bro. It's okay.
Okay.
No problem.
Perfect. Right now, perfect. All right. So thank you so much for double confirming on that. So ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce why it is very much more important for us to understand why the climate change basically and why this topic
Hello,
is...
Professor. Could you
Yeah.
make it slower?
Okay, sure. All right. Okay,
Thank
thank you so much for alerting me. No, because usually when I'm talking and I'm engaging a lot of knowledge sharings, I might speed up a little bit, but it's okay. Please slow me down when you feel that I am a bit talking faster to let you understand what I am talking about. And I would be happy and I will be also giving you the opportunity to interrupt me to ask any kind of question that if you do have. And please do hold me down when I'm speeding up. So as that just now been mentioned, okay, today my guest lecture will be entitled Addressing the Climate Change, Strategic Mitigations Effort for Sustainable Future, and where I'm going to be focusing on the very demanded topics nowadays. Most of the technology and era of technology is focusing on, and most of the developed countries from the first layer to second layer to the third layers of the world countries. Okay, so they are all fighting against the climate change because the climate change, it is very harsh topics when we're talking about the technology implementation, because I think it is beyond our control. Okay, it's a nature issue. So, but beside that, of course, when we are following the nature, we have to understand there are a lot of factors, there are a lot of I can
Hello,
say,
Professor. Sorry. Could
sorry,
you
yes,
could you make your screen in the full screen mode?
mine
Because
right now
half
is
screen.
it or not? Yeah, Mr.
Maybe
Rahman.
divided by two.
Hello. Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Is it my screen frozen or what?
Oh, it's already full.
Oh, yeah. I know because I haven't started yet.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much for allotting me. Okay. So basically, in today's guest lecture, I'm going to focus on the specific agenda where I am going to introduce for you By the way, can you see my slide presentation moving? Just to double confirm, Mr. Moderator.
Not yet, bro. Please try to.
You see the agenda right now in front of you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, fantastic. Yeah, that's me is moving. All right, thank you so much. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, I will be focusing today on the climate change, and I will be introducing the most, because what I heard that most of you are the students are coming from different fields. So I will be focusing on introducing the basic of climate change sciences. This is very important because from this basic information, we will be understanding how it's important for us to understand the basic fundamental information about the climate change science. The second agenda, I will focusing on the climate change mitigations and adaptations. Then the third agenda, I will be focusing on the challenge and opportunities of the climate change. And last but not least, I'll be focusing on the climate change that been in the use of mitigations and how that's being corresponded to our current era of technology. All right. So basically, according to this agenda, let me dive into it and let me introduce my very basic information. You might always hear about it when you are listening to any kinds of science subjects focusing on, especially if you are coming from physics or medical backgrounds, how it's important for us to understand. So you might hear about this terminology like climate, weather, and climate change in combination modes. Basically, when we're talking about the climate, ladies and gentlemen, it is very important to understand the climate is always a terms that we use it to average the typically when it's been averaged above the periods of 30 years. So we are controlling all the environment parameters such as the pressure, temperature, and humidity, which it is very important factor nowadays, specifically in the Asian country, where, as example, Indonesia and Malaysia are very well known of high humidity countries. Okay, then the other terms we are focusing on is the weather, where we call weather is the short terms that it's been focusing on the changing that we can see all these kind of temperature, cloud, precipitation, humidity, and wind in the region, okay, where it's been exposed to our environment and how does really reflected on most of our applications in terms of any types of technology that we are introducing. So also it is very crucial and very important to introduce the climate change, where it is referring basically to any kinds of any long-term change in the earth climates or in the climate of a region or a city. So basically by understanding this kind of I can say distinctions or this kind of terminology, we can be better gossips and grab the long-term trends and we call it normality and abnormality of the weather change that causing by the climate change. So basically, when we are talking about the climate change, we have to keep in mind always what are the most important factors that really controlling the climate change. Okay, as we can see nowadays, it's the weather is quite a fluctuated mood. 5 minutes, you can see it's very heavy rain. You can see another 10 or 1 hour, 2 hours, it's too shiny and it is too hot. Okay, of course, these kind of things is happening because of the climate change. So there are two factors, ladies and gentlemen, we would love to introduce here that they are tremendously controlling the climate change. But these factors, you have to keep it in mind, is always divided into two categories. One of them we call it as a biotics factors. And of course, the other one is the abiotics factors. So when I'm talking about the abiotics factor, where we are focusing on the altitude, longitude, and of course the altitude from different perspectives, where is the position of the country being set or located. Then this third factor, which is the ocean currents, okay? Specifically, right now we're talking about the Indonesia geographical, where it's been surrounded by sea and river and ocean from all the directions. Therefore, the location the altitude and the longitude of the country, it is totally affected by the climate change that would be happening by this kind of river or reservoir. We call it as a reservoirs. Okay, reservoirs means is the ocean, river, atmosphere, and all the lakes around it that it's, we call it the majority is water. Okay, then the fourth one, which is the topography, that it is one of the very important factors. Solar radiation, which is how much the country or that position is being exposed to a high intensity of sunlight, which it is quite important because we will see later what are the alternative part that we can utilize this solar radiation to produce electricity through solar cell as example, and so on and so forth. Then the other factor that we will want to focus on it, we call it evaporation. Evaporation, as I've been mentioned just now, is that the country when it is being surrounded by ocean, rivers, so the majority of the land or the majority of the area of the country or the area that we are living on, it is water. And we know very well, third of the earth is a water. So the evaporation of this water due to the exposing to the solar radiations or to the sunlight, that can cause a very important factor we call the humidity. So this is can cause also for us a climate change, which it is really, really, really dangerous sometimes when we are crossing the threshold of the climate change. The other factor under abubatics basically is the orbital variations. Orbital variations is one of also main important factor that we are focusing on this parameter when we are talking about the orbitals variation that is happening layer by layer of the earth, that is protecting all these kind of sun lightnings and so on and so forth. The last under abubatics basically, which is the volcanics activities. Okay, so we hear always there is a volcanics activities. It's happening because of the internal temperature of the earth is getting higher and higher. So you can hear about there is a volcano being exposed, or there is an earthquake, or so on and so forth, any kind of abnormality in the nature that can cause this kind of climate change that will be happening for us as a human living on Earth. So other factor, which is the biotics factor, where we can see all this, the transportations or recipitations, photosynthesis, and the decomposition. We will be focusing in our presentation later on this kind of, we can see there are a lot of repeated information and knowledge about some of these factors that they are quite aligned with your current study, regardless if you are coming from medical backgrounds or science backgrounds or even engineering backgrounds. All of these factors are very common. You can find it everywhere. They are totally affected on whatever science that we are studying. That's why we call this kind of factor multi-diversity factors. Multi-diversity factors because they are anticipated, or they are included in each and every subject that we are teaching currently. Okay, or it is very important to understand this factor because they are having the reflection on the knowledge on, I can say we call it the interpretations of whatever analysis we are doing for whatever project that we are working on. So basically, when we are being highlighted these two factors, it is very much more important to for us to understand the science of climate change. What is the science of climate change? Which I've been divided into three main zones. Okay, which is zone number one, which we call as a greenhouse effect. This is where is the science of climate change. When we're talking about the what they call it as a greenhouse effect, it is very much more important for us to understand that this greenhouse effect is always a kind of nature where it's happening or taking place, because all of these type of gases that being trapped in the trap the heat in the atmosphere, where it is helping actually in regulating the air temperature. That's why you can see on Earth there are a lot of polars, then a North Pole and the South Pole and the East and the West Pole, where the temperature is totally getting changed from one pole to another pole. okay, where all of these happening because of the greenhouse effect, okay, and all of this because it's happening that it's all the type of gases that are available into the environment, that it's helping to capture that heat and don't let the heat be diffused to our we call internal environments, okay, where is the controlling of the air temperature. The second agenda of understanding the science of climate change, basically, we are what we call it as a human influence, where I can say this is quite crucial. Okay, why? Because this is a human effectiveness that it's including all of the burning of the fossil fuel, and you know very well one of main source for our electricity, either in Indonesia or even in Malaysia as well, that we are producing electricity is by the fossil fuel. Okay, so the burning of this kind of fossil fuel, it is really, really dangerous because it is always releasing an excessive greenhouse gases, and these type of gases, of course, is going to pollute. It's increasing the pollution of the environment and causing for us a lot of abnormality into our natural environments. Of course, when we're talking about the human influence, that is always reflecting into enhancing the natural effect. Okay, so the third point that I want to highlight it as understanding the concept of climate change is the climate change impact. Why it is important, why it is too much impactful for us to understand the climate change. So all of these, basically, the climate change is going to be increase the gas or the greenhouses gases that being interrupts more about the heat, which it's leading to the global warming, and this global warming can be reached to a lot of consequences. Okay, like as just now I've been mentions, is that we will be having a sudden like a sudden rain, or an increasing the humidity too much over than the usual, or there are a lot of earthquake, or even there is a volcanoes explosions everywhere. It's happening. Okay, so this kind of global warming is a kind, we call it in our language, is a cascade of the environmental in fact, that is always going to be alter the weather patterns and rising the sea level. Okay, so that is rising the sea level, that we're going to be affect on all of the flood that been occur, that as we have been seen in a few months back in Indonesia, there are a lot of cities has been totally flooded because of the heavy rain that did not stop for a period of time. Okay, that is happening because of the climate change. All right, what we call is the geographical environmental information and knowledge, which it's quite important to understand why it is happening, because all of these climate change and impact happen just because of the human utilization to the wrong resources of the nature. We call it in our language, the nature is very angry from the human being when that is being happen and take place. Okay, so it is all being happen because of the accumulated influence of the human utilization. Okay, so a part of that, as I've been just now been mentioned, how the human being is really focusing on causing for us the climate change. Of course, due to the utilization of the fossil fuel, where is the power planet. As example, right now we can see a lot of vehicle cars everywhere. Okay, specifically some houses, they have 4 or 5 cars in the house. All of these cars moving, or the cars practicing on transportation, will be producing for us the CO2, okay, which is, we call it as a carbon monoxide, which is, this is a very dangerous type of gas, that where I was just now mentioning, this type of, one of these type of gas is the monoxide, carbon monoxide, then can cause for me a lot of unusual behavior or abnormality, okay, the behavior to the environment, okay, which it can cause for me a sudden rain, or can cause for me difficulties of breathing, where we the limited of the oxygen in the environment. Okay, so all of this happening because of the utilization of a human being. or the increasing of the population of the human being. So the human being is require a lot of facilities to live, we call it comfortably, but indeed, this kind of comfortability, it is all in negative feedbacks on the nature. Okay, so increasing the number of vehicles can cause a huge pollutions, and that kind of pollution can cause a lot of issue on the nature or the mother nature issues. The second factor that I want to highlight it that really can cause a major issue when we are talking about the climate change is the deforestations. Okay, the deforestations is very crucial, I can say, factors that we need to understand it. Most of the human being, example, they are building a lot of factory, or we are utilizing a lot of papers. Utilizing these papers from where you have to understand the source of that papers from where it's coming. All the papers that we are using and throwing to in dustbin without utilizing it properly, it's coming from the trees. Okay, and that trees, ladies and gentlemen, you have to understand what is the what they can say is the beneficial point of it is that trees can help in observing the CO2 and releasing for us the oxygen. So of course, as much as the oxygen is increasing into our atmosphere, weather, that would be helping us a lot in living comfortably. Okay, so when we are reducing the number of trees, of course, we are expecting on the other side is that there is no any other source to can observe the CO2, and therefore that will be causing for us the climate change. Okay, so this is one of the main issue that the human cause basically. Yes, we are moving towards, I can say, a lot of manufacturing to serve the humanity, but at the same time, that's serving the humanity, causing an angry feedback or a negative feedback from the nature. Okay. Of course, the third factor is that it is very, very important nowadays, which we call it the industrial process. Okay, that's you can see right now the factories, it's everywhere. Okay, and of course you have to understand that factories, as they are producing a lot of products, which we call it as a positive product that we are demanded or we needed during our daily life, they have also producing a negative product. But that negative product, unfortunately, we call it is unseen for us as a human being. Okay, so what is happening that is, of course, that negative product is always the unnecessary gases that can cause for us effectiveness of the greenhouses gases, such as the methane or even the nitrogen or the nitrogen oxides that can cause because of the productivity of that factory. Regardless what factory it was, is it producing medicine, is it producing food product, or producing any type of productivity that the human being utilizing in the current daily life. Okay, so a part of this, let us look into the earth and the natural greenhouses. That's it is very crucial for us to understand this part when we are talking about the natural houses. Okay, so the natural house basically will play a very important role in maintaining the earth energy balance, where I can show you here how does here in this demographical situations where is the greenhouses, they will be really I can say assisting in radiating a lot of type of atmosphere gases, and where it's going to be observe and omit all the green directions of the sunlight, and also can cause for us and greenhouses that can cause for the molecules and the cloud, and therefore can cause a lot of warming, feel very hot. Okay, I don't know if any one of you has been travel to Europe, okay, or you have been travel to any kind of cold countries. When you've been landed in these kind of countries, there is no humidity there, where is very important factor, because a humidity means a pressure, a humidity means extra weight, a humidity means difficulties and limitation in breathing. Okay, so when you be landed in such a countries where the humidity is below 20%, okay, where it's happening mostly in the European countries, you feel yourself is too much active. Why it is active? Because there is not a lot of humidity can cause a limitation of our movement. Okay, so usually this type of greenhouses that it's needed or it's happening to be needed in atmosphere is always reflecting to regulate the temperature in wherever is to sustain the life. Okay, sustaining the life. So it is very much more important to us to understand the existence of these kind of greenhouses effect, or these type of gases where does existed into our environments. So let us look into how this kind of greenhouses gases emission affects on our daily life or our life in general. Okay, so here I've been included for you the role of green house gas emissions. Okay, so this kind of gas emission basically where is going to be focused on three main type of gases. We call it the dangerous type of gases. Okay, that most of the companies they are producing due to their productivity, which is carbon dioxide, methane, and the nitrous oxide, which we call as N2O. So when we're talking about the carbon dioxide, basically this is what we call this type of gas is primary contributing for me into a very crucial gas that can cause for me the climate change, which is happening because of the burning of the fossil fuel, and of course the deforestations that is happening for all the trees, all the jungles, all the greens around us being eliminated to be used in our human productivity and life needed requirements. The second type of gas where is the methane, what we call as a potent greenhouses effect, where it's being emitted from the natural gases that is all causing the leaking or kind of livestock and agriculture. So these type of gases basically can cause for us uncomfortability, as you can see on the right side of my slide presentations here. Okay, how much gas every factory is producing and how that can cause for us it can cause a lot of natural issues that can affect on our health in other parts. Okay, so because you have to understand climate change is not only outside of your home, no, it is inside your home, it is inside your bedroom. If there is a climate change and comfortability in the nature factor or increasing whatever kind of temperature, pressure, humidity, that can cause for us uncomfortability in our sleep or even in our utilization of our natural energy, from internal energy to potential energy, because these two type of energy are totally controlled by the nature or by the environmental factors. So when we don't have enough sleep due to any kind of circumstances, as example cool weather or hot waters or whatever kind of abnormality we call it weather, in the second day when we get up, we will not be having the opportunity to act, to produce or to translate this potential energy that we are having into kinetic energy. So we will find ourselves very tired, very exhausted, moodless. I don't have mood to do anything. Is all of this happening because of the environment? You have to understand that. Okay, where it's we call this one all a reflection of on our daily life. Okay, so the third type of gases we call it as a N2O or nitrous oxides, which basically is this one is a kind of gas is released from the agriculture practices and these kind of industrial processes and burning the fossil fuels as well, that also can cause for me the greenhouse gas emission. Okay, so basically all the releasing of these type of gases can cause for me something quite important. You need to understand it while you still, I can say you still study. Okay, because tomorrow we are expecting that the climate change is getting worse and worse. Why? Because of the productivity. A lot of factories are opening, a limited observation of the, I can say, the government and the policy basically on the position or the placements of the factories in the countries. Usually, these kind of factories that are producing a huge amount of these three gases, they are supposed to be not allowed to be positioned in the middle of the city. Okay, they must be positioned out of the city, where all these gases will be released to the environment that not being attracted with the human life. But due to the lot of complexity, I can say, in the government policy, and I can say the permission being given to a lot of companies that they are producing these type of gases, but they can see them, they are in the center of the city, where it is totally, I can say, attracted with the human being. Okay, so we are daily, we can just, if you open your window of your room, you can see the cloudy weather, or there is, we call it haze. Haze is causing not by the nature, haze causing because of this type of gases that when you look and you smell and you breathe, you feel uncomfortable. Okay, so all of the existence of these type of gases can cause for me something we call it global warmings. Okay, where the global warmings basically, it is very, very, very important terminology. You should understand it in your current age, because the global warming will be staying with us, I don't know up to when, from the technology base reflection basically, when we are talking about the global warming. Let me talk about what does mean by global warming, because whenever you're looking or you are hearing, or I'm not sure if you guys are reading any news or you're reading any newspaper, this is the terminology always do existed when they are talking about the news that is really affected on the human being. Okay, always saying global warming, global warming. It's a very popular and very demanded terminology when you are readings or you are in the field of science attachment basically. So global warming, ladies and gentlemen, it's very well known as what we call and say is a climate change that is being categorized by general increase in the average temperature, which it has a very long modified weather balances and ecosystem. Okay, where it is very much more important to understand this kind of global warming, such as the extreme weathers that we are facing, I can say daily, like as example, heating wave or even the flood. Flood is one of the main characteristic that is happening because of the global warmings. Okay, flood it's very usual. Most of the time you're saying no, flood it's happening because of the heavy rain. No, no, no. Please do correct your understanding. Okay, a flood is not happening because of the huge amount of rain. No, it is all happening because of the global warmings. That it's, as I been mentioned just now, is that we are the one who is destroying the nature. Then the nature in reflections will cause a negative feedback on this kind of actions. So will cause a heavy rain that is non-stoppable rain, where we can cause for us the flood that we are, I can say, suffering from it from time to time. And on the other side, when we're talking about the climate change or the global warmings, we have to understand it's always the flood. It's happening because of the rising of the sea level. That is always undergoing all the coastal committees. That is happening because of the a human being. And of course, on the other side, the global warmings is happening when the temperature is increasing. Whatever happening in the North Pole, okay, as I show you here in this photo, okay, where is the snow is being accumulated because of the global warming, all of this ice is getting melted. And of course, when it is getting melted, it's going to be poured in any kind of river, ocean, lake, and increase the level of water. Okay, we call rising the sea level and causing these kind of coastal issues such as a flood and so on and so forth. Okay, and of course, on the other side, when we're talking about the global warmings, is that we have to understand there is something we call it lose in biodiversity. What does mean by biodiversity? In this kind of biodiversity that is stabilizing the environment. Okay, stabilizing the environment and destabilizing basically the environmental ecosystem, okay, which is totally it's linked and can cause for me an increase in the greenhouses in our living atmosphere and worsening the what they call the greenhouse effect. Okay, let me show you some real example, whatever kind of research in indicating that the increase of the temperature, how does really cause for me, we call it the global warming, effectively looking into the temperature, the global warming. So when we are looking into this graph here, this graph is representing the surface of the earth, temperature, okay, versus the years. So the indication of the research is starting from 1850 until 2020. As we can see, as all the year is moving, okay, this temperature of the surface, when I'm saying talking about surface, about Earth, okay, temperature Earth is keep increasing as much as the years are moving towards higher level. So what we can see from starting from 1850 until 2020, there is an increase in the surface temperature about 1.2 degrees Celsius. Yeah, might of some of you will be saying that it is okay, 1 degree is not that much affected. No, please. 1 degree, it is something we call abnormality in the temperature because it will be multiplied by many number when it's being exposed to the atmospheric environment. Okay, where all of these basically where we are going to see now here, how does this kind of trend or increasing in the temperature can cause an effectiveness or can internally cause for me internal climate variability basically, or what we call the change in the temperature causing. This, by the way, all of this study has been predicted 10 years ago. 10 years ago. You have to understand that part. And now when we are doing the comparison by the 10 years prediction of many studies, they have been done by machine learning, basically. Okay, machine learning is a computer vision software. So this kind of prediction, when we are living or what we have been past 2020, the temperature is really within the period of times or the periods of range plus minus 1.4. That's what we are going to see in this paragraph, where we can see all of this increasing can cause for me surface temperature of this earth is keeping increasing higher and higher and higher and higher. And we are expecting actually, based on the current research, that this temperature, right now they record up to 2020, into 2030, this temperature can cross more than 2.7 degrees Celsius. You can understand right now, as the years are passing and growing up, it is there is a continuous increasing in the temperature, with the surface temperature, and that can cause a lot of uncomfortability into our living life. Okay, so you need to understand that kind of mechanism when we are, yes, moving toward a lot of industrial productivity, but we have to understand the negativity that we causing by the manufacturing from time to time. Okay, so let us look into how the climate change, or we can say as the observe of the climate change, how does it really understandable for us? As example, if I can say the city that you are living, unfortunately, I did not get the opportunity yet to visit Muhammadiyah University. Yes, I have been many times in Indonesia, okay? But as a human being living on Earth, how do you understand there is a climate change happening around us. Okay, as just now I give you an example from the flood. Okay, what else we can understand when we are looking into our daily life? If you say, oh, whatever we are passing through is a climate change, you know, this, if you are sitting somewhere and you are talking about the climate change, I am 100% sure whatever kind of topics is talking around you, everyone will stop and keep listening to you, because the climate change nowadays is the highly demanded, as I've been mentioning earlier, topics that most of the technology, a lot of billions of dollars, okay, or trillions of dollars, they are spending to trying to avoid the climate change. Okay, so for us as a human being or as a fresh student, how you can understand you are in a climate change impact issues? When you are looking into this, I put for you 4 main indicators, okay, such as extreme weathers. What does mean by extreme weathers? That we are having a lot of heat wave, or as example, the drought, flood, and storms. This is what we call extreme weathers. Okay, this is happening where it is exists because of the climate change. Second indicator, where we are talking about the rising of the sea level. Okay, sea level, as I just now be mentioned, it is happening because of the climate change that can cause a melting in the ice of the North Pole and increasing in the sea level or the ocean water that's been expanded. So that's why the sea level will be increased, and of course, it's going to be threatening for us the coastal communities. The third point, and very important, which is the melting of all the glaciers that is happening in the North Pole. So the global warmings, okay, can cause for me the glaciers on even the ice cap to be melt, and alarming rates that is going to be impacted for us the water resources, and therefore going to change and impacted for us the what we can say the environmental ecosystem. Okay, so it is very much more important for us to understand that kind of mechanism when we are talking about the climate change. As just now also been mentioned, is that one of the main impactful indicator for the climate change, which is the loss of the biodiversity, where the climate change will be disrupted the ecosystem, and also can cause for us to leading for all the habitat losses and throttling the spices of our survivability. Okay, so when we are talking about all of these factors and indicators that can cause for me the climate change, we have to address the fundamental measurements. Okay, how as a human being, what are the fundamental measurements that can cause for me to be segregate? Because this terminology, after the understanding right now, a lot of basic information about the climate change, about the global warmings, it is must be understanding some advanced terminology about the mitigations and adaptations. So these are the factors that can cause for us the change, and we call it the advanced climate change, to address the climate change. So that's why we are addressing the mitigations and adaptations. So mitigation and adaptations are two main variables. Mitigation is always focusing on the reduction of the sources of greenhouse gases. However, the adaptation is always focusing on adjusting the nature and the human ecosystem. All right. So when we're talking about the mitigation, as we can see from our slides here, the mitigation is always focusing on the increase in the, we call it as a GGE. GGE means greenhouse gas emission. Sorry. So where it's increasing in the CO2 can cause for, because of the fossil fuel and all the, we call it unusual resources that the human being is using. Therefore, the effectiveness can cause for me in the climate elements, where there is an increase in the temperature, and of course can change for me the rainfall patterns, and of course can cause for me increasing in the sea level, and of course causing the abnormality in the nature like a flood and so on and so forth. And on the other side, the adaptation, where is all this the adjustment of the nature and the human system, can affect from the climate change, such as the natural ecosystem that can cause an effectiveness on the human society, on human adaptations, basically. Therefore, to understand more about the mitigation and adaptations, I put for you here a graph, or I can say kind of connected flowchart that is representing for me the differences between the mitigation and adaptation. You have to understand these two terminology now. We call it in advanced research, okay? Advanced research, where most of the technologies are addressing these two phenomena or these two cycles of phenomena cycle, which is the mitigations and adaptations. So when we are talking about these two factors or these two indicators based on this flow chart, we can look into its whatever kind of response or respondents that we are having, kind of problem identification that can cause for me the resilience strategies in terms of planning and implementation. Always, every kind of a planning that we are doing, it's coming into short terms and long terms. So when we are looking into the short terms, it is always will go to into adaptation. However, the long terms, it's always will goes into mitigations. Let me give you a very simple example. When we are talking about the adaptation, we are talking about the infrastructure upgradings. Infrastructure means building structure. This is very important. This is we call infrastructure. Okay. Or example, flood protection devices or technology. This is what we call it adaptation. However, on the other side, where we call it as a long terms of responses, is that, like example, we are using electrical vehicle. This is electrical vehicle, we call it as a mitigation because it is parked under the mitigation that being can cause for me the climate change protection, basically. Or as example, we are using all the green energy resources. We call it as a clean energy, clean energy. So this is all under mitigations, okay, mitigations. So the mitigation activities always will be having a very impactful feedbacks, even both of them, even adaptation as well, okay? When we're talking about adaptation is all our concentration part is that when we do the flood protection or infrastructure upgrade, because our main intention to produce something we call it smart city, okay? The smart cities. However, mitigation, ladies and gentlemen, is always will have for us the most important part is a water conservation. Some of you might not understand what does mean by conservation. Conservation is the utilization, how much you are using the water, okay? Because when you are using a lot of water, when you are wasting a lot of water, the climate change is happening, okay? The mitigation will be happening, okay? Because of the activities that will be having a very important part on the mitigation action, and of course that have all the adaptations benefits and vice versa as well. On the other side, when we are talking into this kind of climate change factors that just now have been mentioned, this is how it is been happening. So that's why the meditation having always an aim into our own meaning is that going to be reduce the future impact. However, unfortunately, adaptation is going to be increase the need for more planning, for more developments, and that's why we are moving towards something we call it ISO, okay, ISO system, or we are moving towards something we call it industrial revolution, okay, we call it IR 5.0, okay. Indonesia, yes, right now Indonesia is using IR industrial revolution, same like Malaysia as well, okay, using IR 4.0, okay. But our neighbor country, which is Singapore, is already been implemented 5.0. Of course, focusing into all taking into the considerations on this kind of climate change issues, okay, into this kind of industrial revolution and the implementation of industrial revolution. So there is a lot of consequences if we don't comply. This is sometimes my students is asking me this question. Sir, you are talking about mitigation and adaptation, and you're talking about the climate change. If as a human being, we are not, I can say, let me call it at this point, we don't care. It is okay. Whatever we are conserving from water, whatever we are doing, whatever kind of fossil fuel we are using, whatever electricity we are wasting, it is okay. We feel it is okay. Then I have to highlight it here. What are the consequences from this kind of inaction? There are a lot of consequences, ladies and gentlemen. You need to take it in your consideration when you overdose the utilization of this kind of mitigation and adaptation cycle. So what are the consequences of inaction if you did not take an action to save whatever you are looking for? First consequences which we are going to face is the flood and the displacements of the communities, where the sea level is keeping increasing higher and higher and higher. This is number one. This is the consequences. This is an issue. Okay, that's why we are keep facing flood for the uncertain time. Okay, yes, we can see that a lot of action has been taken, that they are building a lot of tunnel to evacuate the water. They are changing a lot of infrastructure, but all of these, as just now we said, is a short-term solution. Short-term solution because we are on the other side keep producing a lot of greenhouse gases that can cause the global warmings. So the rain, and instead of being 3 days, it will be expanded to be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 days. Okay, so that is on the other side is increasing the level of water or the sea level of water. And on the other side, there is no enough river, lake, ocean can be occupied in that amount of water that has been melted from the ice pool or from produced by the rain as well. The second part, which is the extreme weather, that we are always having the extreme frequent or intense, the hurricanes, the droughts, or even the heat waves. As you can see right now, if you are reading the news, most of them, the American cities, or even the what they call it is the American states and all the countries around by the always facing this kind of storm. Okay, that it's like what they can say, it is always a storm that it can pull all their houses from the roots. Okay, it's two heavy storms that is happening because of the extreme weather. Okay, so all of these kind of issue, it is happening when there is no action has been taken. The third point, which I would love to mention on the biodiversity loss, okay, where is this kind of instigation of the all this kind we call as a spices on pieces, we're going to have a disruption on our ecosystem of life. Okay. On the other side, all of these three factors, when there is no action has been taken, you must understand that there is also food insecurity, where because as I can just not be mentioned, all this kind of flooding or extreme weather can cause interruption for our agricultural planning. So therefore, there is a lot of food insecurity, where the crop means the plant will be failing, water will be kinds of hassling to get water, disruption to food supply chains as well. Okay, and the last consequences that we need to take it into our consideration is the mass displacement due to the environment change and the disaster that does happening into our system. Okay, then as a human being, or all of you as a future engineer, future doctors, future nurse, future physicians, future scientists, future researcher, what we can do to resist this kind of climate change. Okay, please, this is not my action anymore. It is your action. It is your point to take it in your consideration, because you have more opportunity than me.
I am right now here delivering the education to you, okay, because we are growing up. It is your turns. It's your leadership is tomorrow. Our leadership is already being completed, okay? So it is very much more important for us to understand that kind of opportunity. So as future scientists, engineers, doctors, mediticians, nurses, what we can do, okay? What we can do to resist the climate change. Yes, I have to confess that climate change has been established or has been begun years back, okay? Years back. But we still can retreat it. We can reduce this kind of climate change. So how we can do? First, we should admit, this is always my statement. We should admit that the climate change is every one problem of us. You cannot say, no, I'm not doing anything on the climate change. Everything you do from the issue with the recycling, the issue with throwing the extra food, with keep changing, example, the terms of clothes and throwing the old one without recycling, utilization of plastic bag, or many other factors that we are doing now. So that's, you have to understand there is no kind of agency or even the government or any kind of scientist, whatever knowledge they have, they can fix the climate change for us. Okay, you have to understand that we are all of us in the same boat. Okay, we are all of us living on this universe. So we have to understand that we need to change our lifestyle or even our habit as well. So our habit will be always having the exposing to the nature, which is must be changed. So yes, right now there are a lot of I can say introducing to indicators that can help in reducing the climate change, which they are, we call it mitigation. That's why, as I said, at the early beginning, we have climate change and global warming. Then we move toward mitigation and adaptation. Let us look into what mitigation can produce for us as a strategy. Ladies and gentlemen, mitigation is offering for us these 4 factors, okay, which we call mitigation strategy. This is a strategy of the entire, I can say, science around us, regardless, whatever you are, okay? So mitigation can produce for us or focusing on this kind of energy efficiency, where is going to be reduce the energy consumption through building isolation, smart grid, or even energy efficiency applicants. So we can see right now in the market, when we are moving toward the market, when we're buying any kind of applicants, always saying this application under energy efficiency. What does mean by energy efficiency? Means this application can work efficient with less power consumption, okay? Less power consumption. This is a very good and very impactful strategy to reduce our human utilization for the electricity. Second part, we have to look into our source of electricity, okay? Where we are using the fossil fuel, as example, Indonesia also using the coal or the charcoal, or using a lot of, we call destructive resources of power energy, is that we have to move, we call it transitioning into solar, wind, hydro power generation, and geothermal power resources, where all these type of resources we call it as a renewable energy. This kind of renewable energy, we call it in our terms as engineers, a clean energy or green energy. Why they are green energy? Because none of these resources has any harmful effectiveness on the environment, okay? The third factor, which is sustainable transportation, okay? Sustainable transportation, it is very, very crucial now, and very, I can say, yes, I can say that it is, it's really reducing a lot of pollution and producing for the CO2 dioxide or carbon dioxide, basically, when this public transportation can help in reducing the crowdness, in reducing the congestion time or the traffic jam, that all this kind of traffic jam is producing a lot of carbon dioxide. That's why when you're using the public transportation, like example, we have here in Malaysia, we have LRT, MRT, and we have a lot of public transportations that can actively moving into occupied all the public transportation and reducing the density of cars, okay, or the volume density of cars in the streets, okay. So these three factors is very important to affect on the fourth factor. We call it carbon pricing. Carbon pricing is that any companies now is producing intentionally or unintentionally carbon that can harm the environment must be penalized. Must be penalized. Penalized means they must pay fine as a cement, okay? Cement when they are producing this kind of carbon, because is the government required a lot of implementation and adaptation to eliminate that kind of carbon that has been produced. Let me look into what is the renewable energy to bright up, to spotlight your mind. What are the clean technologies that we can implement? So as I've been mentioned, renewable energy that may affect having the effectiveness of solar energy, wind energy, electrical vehicle, and waste management. Remember my word, waste management is one of the main important demanded terminology will be with us for the next maybe 20 years or maybe 30 years. Why? Because we having a lot of what we call it backload from waste management that we need to implement it to know how to recycle that waste, to recycle the practices. It is very much more important. Yes, we are implementing a lot of technologies. We are implementing a lot of recycling process. But on the other side, it is very much more important for us to understand how we can maintain the recycling. Yes, we are. Right now, I can see in the campus example, we have a lot of smart dustbin, or we're having a lot of classifications of the dust, what they call it is the recyclable material. Like example, here is the plastic, here is the paper, and here is non-disposable material. This is good. This is awareness for us. But here, there is an action to be taken after that. When the dustbin is completely full by papers, then what is next? Where is going to be happen? If you're going to be exposed to the environment, so we have done nothing. We are still in the same loop. We are not improving. There is no proper management, cycling, practicing, or recycling has been taken. Let me show you something very important. Like example, we have Singapore. Singapore, what they are doing, they are collecting all the trash bins. So when they are doing the segregations of the plastics, okay, of course, this kind of technology is being implemented in Europe, example, in Germany. So when they are collecting all the plastics, what they do, you have to understand something very important. They are implementing kind of recyclable process that segregating the plastic, melting the plastics, and after they melt the plastic, they convert it into products. Okay, so when they convert it into a product, they use it as example for the pavement. Pavements means for the road segregation. They use that plastic as making chairs, tables. But all of these coming from where? From you, from me, from us. Okay, so they are doing this kind of recycling. Okay, so the reuse and the recycling we call as a waste management. Okay. Moving on into how we can improve the energy efficiency. Of course, right now, most of the technology and the industrial revolution 4.0 or even 5.0, 4.2, they are taking into their consideration these three main factors. First, building efficiency, where they are isolating the buildings using energy efficiency applicants and incorporating the sustainable building material. This is very, very important, okay? Second, where is the industrial process? That is all having an optimization by production methods, and of course, reducing all the waste and adapting the energy efficiency technologies. Third, as I've been mentioned always, one of the main energy efficiency across all of these sectors is the promoting electrical vehicle, public transportation, and active mode of transportations. Okay. The fourth factor or the fourth indicator, which we call the carbon capturing. Carbon capturing, ladies and gentlemen, is a kind of subsequestrations where we have to understand how we can capture the carbon monoxide or the carbon dioxide emission from the power plant or even from the industrial facilities. So right now, the most important step that the government is taking is to looking into the companies that they are producing a huge amount of carbon, and they are developing a kind of system to observe the carbon before release to the environment by incorporating different type of filters. They are using a lot of type of ventilations process. They are doing a lot of recycling to that carbon before we call filtration, before producing the hugest amount of carbon to the environments. Okay, so when we are looking into the strategy of carbon, you can understand this is statistical based on 2021. Okay, which is almost right now we are 4 years back. 35 of carbon that's producing because of the energy sector. Of course, there is only plus minus when we are talking about 2025 now. Okay, the 35% of the energy sector is producing the carbon, 24 coming from agriculture, forest, and land uses, and 21% is coming from industry, and 14% is coming from transportation, 6.4 is coming from the building sector. However, right now, what is happening? Now in 2024, I'm talking about the years back, and I wish everyone a very happy new year as we are transporting yesterday to our new year 2025. The energy sector, based on the statistical that has been reduced or produced by the United Nations, focusing on the environmental energy, the energy sector has been reduced to 31%, 31% from carbon emission. But unfortunately, this 4%, it did not go anywhere. It goes to the transportation. The transportation became 18%. The transportation became 18%. And of course, the other three sectors, agriculture to industry and to the building sector, they are plus minus 1 to 4, 1 to 4%. Okay, so this is where when we are focusing on the productions of the carbon and how does this carbon is going to be affect on the environment on the other side. The other implementation that we have to take it in our consideration as a sustainable transportation and urban planning. You have to understand this terminology as very important. There are 4 main factors that we can move toward less carbon production, which they are, of course, the utilization of an electrical vehicle. Yes, correct. Right now, as we are moving into an electrical vehicle, the carbon dioxide and the carbon monoxide in the environment reduced. But right now, we also are facing another issue. These electrical vehicles are using batteries, okay? So how is the process of recycling and disposable the batteries, okay? Which is one of the main right now environmental issue, okay? How we can disposing the batteries, okay? How we can recycle the batteries. So we are eliminating the carbon monoxide, but we are increasing the waste from the batteries, plastic, and the acidic that coming from the plastic, that coming from the batteries. So yes, we solve an issue, but we are still facing another issue, okay? So still this kind of issue still existed because of the electrical vehicle batteries. Second is the public transportation that most of the countries nowadays investing millions and billions of dollars to produce a more efficient and reliable public transportation system because they are trying to reduce the car individual utilization in the street and reduce the congestion, reduce the traffic jam, and so on and so forth. Third, which is active transport that is promoting all these kind of healthy matters, okay? Healthy matter is very important. Yeah, I know I'm talking right now to 21st century generation. Most of you don't like to walk, but believe me, walking is a very healthy strategy Okay, walking and cycling, as you can see right now, if you've been travel to European countries, they are putting a lot of demanded on the taxes. So if you want to buy a car, you need to save for 3 to 4 years money to buy a car. While right now in our countries like Indonesia, Malaysia, it's very easy to buy a car because it's very cheap. Okay, that is where is the policy need to be changed. Tax has to be increased. Yes, I know it's going to be taxed from my pocket and your pocket, but at the same time, it will give a lot of awareness, give us a lot of healthy, can say healthy practices. Let the people walk and talk. Let the people cycle. So when you go to European professors, doctors, or whatever, they are coming to universities by cycle. Okay, where currently our society is looking into it as to how possible that could be happen. Yes, it's happening in the developed countries. Okay, people are using a lot of bicycles. Okay, not in terms of matters they don't have the money to buy. No, they do, but in terms of reflecting on the health matters, reducing the pollution. Okay, and of course, producing a lot of sustainable mode of transportations. The fourth factors is the European green spaces, where it's going to be creating a lot of park, green roofs, open forest, and also improve the air quality, and of course, provide all the recreational areas. Okay, recyclable of the water, recyclable of the air. Okay, that can cause a lot of refreshment to the nature environments. Okay, let us look into almost, I am reaching to the ends. Let us look into what is the adaptation measurement. Okay, adaptation is very important. I also divided into 4 factors, which is adaptation measurement through the building resilience, where it's going to be involved water conservation. Okay, so there are a lot of technology nowadays taking into the consideration in reducing and saving the water. One of the main factors it has been implemented in most of the highly developed countries is they are start increasing the price of the unit of water utilization. Okay, so the human being, of course, one of the main factor that you don't agree and I don't agree and all of us we don't agree when you are playing with my pocket money. Okay, so when we are playing with the money, the government is not required only to take your money. No, it is giving you the awareness of water utilization. And instead of sitting and wasting a huge amount of water, you can utilize the right amount of water. Sorry. So this is what we call the water conservation. Second part, which is the climate smart agriculture. That it's all having adaptation of farmings to change the climate and the weather patterns. And of course, the coastal protection, where all the building, seawall, other protective measurement has to be taken into mitigation of the sea level rising up. Okay, disaster preparedness, when we are taking into the development plans, infrastructure, and to respond to the extreme weather event is very, very crucial and important. I'll show you in 2016, where this is one of the main gathering for the entire countries all over the world, Paris Climate Agreement. This is happened in 2016, basically. What is had been stated out, they have put an agenda and they put an aims and objectives, what they are looking for. And last time they have been anticipated around 196 countries adapted to the agreements. Their main goals, you have to understand, their main goals, they want to reduce the temperature, okay, to 2%, 2% below the 2% of the temperature. And they want to have a lot of forests. They have to control the forest and they have to control the finance. 5 years of this kind of contribution, 2016. But unfortunately, from these 196, there are a lot of countries has been taken into the consideration a real agenda, okay, where is they have from 2016 indeed, their plan must be completed in 2020. But I will shock your mind right now. Some of the countries, yes, they went and they signed the agreement, but they really did not take or bother to take any aims or controlling into that parts. Okay, so these kind of things, they have been allocated for a 100 billion USD, okay, to develop the nation and provide this 100 for all the development nation. And they were having also in their utilization something we call it farther's aim. We call it in 2015, they want to get something we call net zero target. Net zero target means zero carbon, okay? Zero carbon, of course, when they are producing the green technology, when they are producing a lot of, I can say, renewable energy, okay? And the public transportation and a lot of forest and a lot of trees implementation, that can cause for the zero target, where is have been planned to be 2050. But let us look into the moment of reality. In 2021, we got a list of all over ratings of this 196. Okay, so I capture some of them, not all of them I put there. Who countries has been taken to that consideration into the over climate change tracing. So this kind of agreement, basically, they put something we call tracing. They want to follow up on the tracing on that part. Let us look into the countries they have been deployed. Some of the countries, they did not even deploy for it, okay? So this is how the classification that had been to take place in 2021, September, okay, on the overall climate change trackers ratings. So we can see they are critically insufficient, these countries considered to be critically or critically insufficient in climate change, highly insufficient, okay, highly insufficient. Unfortunately, you can see Indonesia considered to be highly insufficient in the climate change tracker, okay? Of course, not only that, even the highly developed countries like Canada, Australia, okay, in New Zealand, okay, they are highly insufficient in the climate change action, where the first insufficiency that is happening in this kind of country, which is ranked also the United States. The highest sufficient countries that they are complying to the environmental action, trying their level base to reduce the global warmings are these countries from Costa Rica, Ethiopia, Kenya, Morocco, Nepal, Nigeria, and UK as well. Okay, so this is where the thing that we need to take in our consideration when we want to comply to the Paris Agreement compatibility, basically. So this is where it has been taken into consideration from insufficient, critically, highly, the insufficient. This we call level 1, level 2, and level 3, which is the highest level, basically. Okay. All right, so reforestations and the carbon sequentializations is that we have to take into our consideration. These are the things that we have to look into it. There are more than 30 billions of trees from the atmosphere. It needs to be implemented. It needs to be planted to reduce the carbon monoxide, to reduce all the carbon dioxide. And
Sorry.
yeah, yep.
Have you already finished your presentation?
Another 2 slides.
Oh, okay.
Okay, almost there. Almost there. Okay, so let me just skip this part because this is regarding to the these are the most important trend and innovation in 2025 that you need to know, you need to take into your consideration, because this is what we are talking about. So there are more than 3,198 technology that to take into the consideration to have it as an innovation in 2025 to we call it as a climate technology that has been produced, basically. Okay. All right. So this is kind of poster that you need to know how we can save our environment, how we can commit to our environment, and how we can come with reducing the climate change, basically. Right. So I just leave it for your own pleasure readings. Later, I will be sharing the slide presentations with the respective persons. So you may get a copy of it. Then you can utilize it to read it more. All right.
This is my recent 2 books. If you have the pleasure, I put for you the QR codes here. Is talking about all the sustainable of smart cities and the future urban developments, and of course how we can utilize all the renewable energy technology and education in industry. So these both of them my books. You can scan them, you can go through it, you can read it. If you are requesting the full version of the books, also you can let me know. I can provide you with the full copy of the book. You can have the pleasure readings of it. Okay. So with that perspective, ladies and gentlemen, we have been reached to the end of our presentations and guest lecturer today. Sorry, I might take a longer times, but usually when I talk about the climate change, because this is the topics quite important, and we call it unstoppable topics when we are talking about our past and current and future life. Okay, because the life is not for me, the life of my father, to the life of me, to the life of my son and daughter. Okay, so it is very much more important to have to keep it. And always I have this quite quick saying the health of our planet as well as the health of our future food security all hinge on how we are treating our blue worlds. Okay, so that is very, very, very important. Take it in your consideration. Okay, so thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening. And I would be happy to receive any question from your side. And sorry for taking this longer time.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dr. Savanaja Saud Al-Humairi,
You're
for
most
the
welcome.
insightful and thoughtful in your presentation. Okay, guys, if you have any question, you can raise your hand and I will call on you. Please, one by one. Doctor, how many questions do you want?
It's up to you. I'm free to utilize.
Okay. Please mention your name and which department you are from. Okay. Sir.
Right.
Okay.
Hi, sir. Hi, sir.
Hello.
Yes. My name is Muhammad Azhar Rahman. I'm from industrial engineering. I want to ask a really common question about global warming. In my opinion,
sure.
anything we do is left for the future, like manufacturing and vehicle right now produce a big pollution that make the ozone thinner, and that case make Earth more warm, and it's bad for everything. Is the strategic mitigation effort for a sustainability future, like Sir say, it's only for decades, or just for 1,000 or for 100 or 1,000 more? Because like I say, in my opinion, like the right now global warming is very it's hard to fix like that. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much for your questions. Indeed, right now we have a lot of things we call it in common. When you start talking about meditations, I was feeling very happy to hear from the students when they are talking about their very high advanced terminology. So I back to your questions. Indeed, this kind of effectiveness, specifically when we're talking about mitigation strategy, mitigation strategy has been implemented for, I can say, for the last 10 years and still will be continuing us. For instance, I'll be showing to you, like example, the renewable energy. Renewable energy, one of the main resources for the mitigation strategy, or even when we are moving toward smart infrastructure buildings. Okay, so this will be continuing with us as we are moving towards industrial revolution, a higher level, a higher order. So that is will not be stopped at all. Okay, because the main aim of this mitigation strategy, we are trying our level base to reduce the consumption of these kind of greenhouses gases. And on the other side, we want to reduce the effectiveness of the global warmings. Okay, so as I've been mentioned, we cannot say all of us. For example, right now there are 250 of you. All of you will behave from tomorrow the base for the global warmings. All of you will be reduced the. Can you guarantee that all of you will be what you can say, reduce your consumption of electricity. You can reduce the consumption of water. You can reduce the consumptions of your food wastage. If you can do it from tomorrow, yeah, that is great. But I don't think so, because we are human. Okay, so we cannot again insufficiently saying that we can secure 100% will be for 10 years more implementation. No, that will be continue with us until the end of this life.
Oke, dokter, thank you very much.
Most
Jadi
welcome.
kita bisa memastikan secara pasti karena kita manusia. Jadi tergantung kita lagi ya teman-teman ya. Jadi kita harus sadar bahwa mitigasi atau pencegahan climate change itu dari kita sendiri untuk penggunaan sumber daya baik listrik, air dan sebagainya. Jadi dimulai dari kita semua. Oke? Thank you very much for Mas Azra.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you, doctor, for your answer.
Thank you. You're most welcome.
Hello, everyone. Okay. There is a student again who will ask you, doctor.
Sure.
Okay. Thank you for your spirit, guys.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Assalamu warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Hello, sir. My name is Pradipta Ariwijaya. I am from the industrial engineering. I would like to ask the sir, what is best way to raise public awareness about the impacts and importance of climate change mitigation, and what is the most effective method to resolve the difference that exists between developed and developing countries, and how to address climate change mitigation issues? Thank you.
Can you just repeat your first part of the question? I could not get it.
Make it fast. Your voice agak keras dikit dan lebih pelan temponya.
What is the best way to raise public awareness about the impacts and importance of climate change mitigation, and what is the most effective method to resolve the difference that exists between developed and developing countries on how to address climate change mitigation issues? Thank you.
Okay, very nice question indeed. Okay, very nice question. Okay, really bagus question. It's really wonderful question, because you have been chosen a very important keyword. We call it is the society awareness. Unfortunately, this is a society awareness. It's the most, I can put it, the most vital issue that we are facing right now, because the society must be aware about the climate change. Okay. Therefore, it's our duty right now as the future scientists is always to give the awareness to the society. But unfortunately, just to let you know that by the last questionnaire that we have been reading from many statistical paper, that most of the society and the majority of the society, they don't like to hear about the climate change, because a lot of unawareness issues. Okay, they don't know about this flood. It is happening because of the climate change. They don't know this earthquake. It is coming because of the climate change. Okay, they don't know anything. We call it abnormality happening. Okay, it's coming because of the climate change. So it is our main part right now to come with such a kind of way to give more awareness. So most of the developed country, okay, what they are doing to give awareness to the people is by putting a lot of policy. This policy in terms of cost, as I just now been mentioned, cost of living is too much high. It's not because it's expensive, but it's a kind of awareness. If you are conserve more, you have to pay more. Okay. So the people, what they do, oh, I am afraid to use a lot of electricity because I have to pay a lot. Okay. I am afraid to use a lot of water because I have to pay a lot. Okay. With this kind of developed idea, the society, they start having this kind of awareness. Awareness means I am afraid. It's not about I am afraid from global warming. I'm not about afraid from climate change. No, I'm afraid to spend more money. But on the other side, the government, it is taking that action to give the limitation to the society and to the people of not to conserve more than their limits. Okay, that is it. That is it. That is when we are talking about it. Example, when you go to the the high developed countries, like example, the old cars cannot be run on the street. Why? Because they know this kind of old cars will produce a lot of emission, carbon emission, okay, and cause a lot of pollution, okay. So usually when the car is reaching to a certain age, it's not allowed to be driven on the way, okay. So that is where is they call it as a governmental policy, okay. By putting these kind of things, they will give the awareness to the people. And of course, it is your turn right now because you are the future scientists. As you are hearing to me, you can diffuse the information to everyone, okay. Many of your friends did not attend, as example, to the session. You see them tomorrow, they are wasting. You have to, we call it bright their mind. Spotlight. Guys, do you know this one where is going to be happen? You know this is what is going to be happen? Give them awareness. So the awareness will be started from the society to the society itself.
Okay. Oh, okay. I will translate for you. Just tagline. Jadi Mbak, Mas, tolong perhatikan jadi jawaban dari dokter tadi. Jadi kesadaran kita ya itu sangat penting ya. Kadang kita sebagai manusia dan masyarakat itu kita tidak tahu bahwa kegiatan kita itu bisa menyebabkan yang namanya kondisi climate change ya. Sama halnya seperti kita menggunakan kendaraan kita ya. Apalagi kendaraan yang tua ya. Jadi kendaraan yang tua itu bisa menimbulkan gas atau asap yang sangat beracun. Karena apa? Kondisi mesin yang sangat tua kayak gitu. Jadi yang saya garis bawahi tadi, kita harus sadar kadangkala apa yang kita kerjakan setiap hari di kehidupan sehari-hari itu bisa menimbulkan climate change ya, teman-teman ya. Oke, thank you. Thank you, dokter.
Okay, most welcome.
Okay, doctor, I think because of the time,
Sure.
we finish it. But before that, I would like to read our conclusion today. Hello guys, we have already learned from Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi in the fourth point. The first one is basic of climate change in the science. The second one, climate change, mitigation and adaptation. And the third one, the challenge and opportunities of climate change. And the fourth one, climate change induced migration. For climate, it's affected by many factors, like abiotic factor, latitude, altitude, topography, and biotic factor, like transpiration, respiration, and decomposition. Climate change is caused by increased concentration of greenhouse gas in the atmosphere, primarily due to the human activity. Ya, jadi karena aktivitas manusia sendiri, teman-teman ya, such as burning fossil fuels, deforestation, and unsustainable agricultural practice. Its impact include rising global temperature, changing weather patterns, rising sea levels, and an increase in the frequency and intensity of natural disaster. Okay? Okay, because we approach the end of today's guest lecture, I would like to express our deepest gratitude to Associate Professor T.S. Dr. Safa Najah Saud Al-Humairi for sharing his knowledge and expertise with us today. But before that, we have something, a certificate for you, Prof.
Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rahmat, for moderating today's session. It was a great pleasure to meet you all. And hopefully in the near future, maybe we can meet in physical. Okay, I'm very actually keen and very passionate to come over and see all of you there and deliver my speech next time, inshallah, physically.
Thank you very much, Prof.
Most welcome.
Okay, Professor,
Thank you so much. Thank you.
You can end this class. and leave
Yeah.
this Zoom. Thank you very much. See you later.
All right. Okay, so thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much for Muhammadiyah University for this invitation. So looking forward to see you again. Then Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and wish everyone a happy new year.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, thank you for your applause. Hello everyone, to all participants, thank you for your enthusiasm and for your coming. We hope everyone here get more things that have impact in your future life. Okay? Once again, thank you for attending, and I look forward to seeing a positive impact from you. Have a great day. Thank you very much. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Oke, mungkin sebelum keluar kita sesi foto dulu ya. Ya. Lalu nanti sebelum keluar silahkan ke kiri untuk absen pulang. Jadi absen tadi kan sudah waktu berangkat sama waktu pulang. Oke, untuk sesi foto silahkan bisa maju semuanya.
Ayo teman-teman. Backgroundnya di sini aja. Oh, berarti hadap sana teman-teman. Ayo, di sini. Ayo berdiri semuanya. Biar cepat pulang. Yuk.
Iya, boleh maju semuanya.
Ayo teman-teman.
Ayo teman-teman, bisa maju ke depan semuanya.
Biar cepat pulang.
Kalau nggak ada maju nanti nggak pulang-pulang. Ayo. Yang perempuan bisa di depan, yang laki-laki bisa di belakang. Ayo. Ya, dan jangan lupa ada absen pulang. Nah, sekarang masih kita tutup. Kalau kalian tidak maju ke depan, kita tidak buka untuk absen pulangnya dan kalian tidak dapat sertifikat. Ayo maju ke depan semuanya. Ayo. Yang perempuan di depan. Yang laki-laki, yang merasa laki-laki, ayo di belakang sini. Iya, ya udah. Ayo semuanya bisa maju ke depan. Nah ini sekarang ditaruh di depan ini, diisi. Ayo teman-teman. Kayaknya saya ngomong sama orang TK ya ini. Ayo. Teman, ayo. Kalian udah mahasiswa? Cepat. Semester 1 ini ya Pak Anas ya. Wah. Masih anak TK-TK semuanya ini. Ayo.
Ayo anak-anak, berkumpul, ayo. Segera. Iya. Ayo. Dimas. Tim. Ayo bergerak. Cepetan. Ayo sesuai, ayo. Ayo Chris. Saya Chris. Halo, Kak Melo, halo. Hitungan Chris, aja meneng-menengan ae. Lo, hitung lo, bagian ngitung lo. Chris, kau ya Chris.
Ya udah nggak apa-apa. Ayo.
Aku dewe Chris, foto Chris ya. Aku
Ya,
dewe foto.
sekarang absen di depan teman-teman.
Jangan lupa absen, ayo. Amel gua apa Mel? Mel,
Anak anak teknik industri, teknik
Iya.
tunggu dulu.
Ayo, Oh,
Perhatian.
Absen.
Ganteng-ganteng, stay dulu ya. Tunggu yang lainnya untuk absen.
Oke.
Ada yang ngabsenin temennya. Anak PGSD saya sudah menemukan 3 orang diabsenin sama temennya.
PGSD, jangan mencemarkan nama PGSD. Tolong.
Anak yang prodi lain saya pegang, jadi saya tahu kalau anak PGSD tadi ngabsenin 3 orang temennya.
Tolong